It seems like I got nothing to do. Hit up Sim Standard Radio. I'm listening to one of the top podcasts, and they bringing you the real. And when they talk sports, it feels like you on the field. From real talk to real sports, from Madden to 2K. Just listen for one day, they'll grab you when you say it's on the net, man. Turn off your stereo, not music. I mess with Sim Standard Radio.
Yes, sir. Sim Standard Radio back again. Episode 86, man, and we're definitely happy, excited, delighted, whatever you want to call it, to be bringing another show, man, another week, and this is going to be a different show, hopefully. You know, last week we got a lot of caller participation, so what we want to do tonight is we're just going to simply open it up to the callers. So when you call in, we'll bring you in, say what you want to say. We have one or two topics or so that we'll discuss in between that time. But we'll basically just see how the call goes. We'll let that dictate the flow. You know, we become professionals, I guess you could say, in doing this, so we know how to fill the space if we don't get calls. But definitely that's how we're going to do it. But you know the routine. We're going to go around and see how everyone is doing. Right now it's just myself and Smitty, and if Azul that comes in, we'll bring him in. But yeah, man, Smitty, how was your week? What did you think about the playoff games and the Super Bowl teams as well?
Yeah, no, the excuse me, week's been good. You know, grateful for it all. I would definitely say I'm glad to see Cam make it. You know, they straight up owned the Cardinals. I don't know what happened. You know, Carson Palmer looked like Brian Hoyer out there. I don't know. And then you had Larry Fitzgerald. He was dropping some passes, boy. I mean, completely uncharacteristic of him. And he dropped some key passes when they, you know, it was as if they were completely demoralized. You know what I'm saying? At first, they were in it a little bit, you know, even though they were down, but they were in it still to at least mount a comeback. But then the more the odds got stacked up, then that's when they just lost it. And, I mean, the whole morality of the team just went out the window. And that's why when I saw Fitzgerald dropping passes, that's how you know the whole team morale is just pretty much shot. Like, they know they're not really playing for anything. So That's what I'm saying. It's not like he missed. It's not like, you know, they were only down a touchdown and he dropped passes. It was like game was way out of hand. It was pretty much over. And he had when those drops came. So, you know, but the better teams did prevail. So, and then one key point I want to make here, and this is in regards to this is a point that I want to make in general here. Okay, during the course of the NFL season, and this pertains to that Broncos game and the playoffs in general, you saw how Gronkowski just carved up that secondary the way he did, that big old tight end. You saw how if Talib didn't pull on his jersey when Brady threw that pass in the end zone toward the end of the game, he had a legitimate chance to at least cuff it with one hand and pull it in over three defenders. And then we saw the other two catches he had over the defenders the way he did it. You know, when you have, and I'm saying that to make this point, when you look at the playoffs, it's not like the regular season. Because in the regular season, you have multiple games that start at once. So there really is no, you know, you can't truly emphasize what's going on in each and every single game because you can't watch them all. All of, you know, the entire NFL viewing audience can't watch every single game at once and be able to honestly acknowledge, like, what's happening in those games, okay? Now, this is the point that I want to make. Over the course of these playoffs, you've seen a lot of aggressive catching going on, a lot of DBs in one-on-one situations not making plays, actually getting the plays made against very often. And it's different when the whole nation is able, if you cut on a football game, they're following one after the other, and that's all you have to watch. So I say that because you saw catches. If you saw that Seattle and Seattle and Vikings game, that was clear as day. I mean, if you were paying attention to that. Oh no, not just that, just in general. Look at all the high point catches that were thrown in that game, and look at how many catches. You know what I'm saying? You see all those catches that were made on one-on-one over DBs that were high pointed, but what were people saying when the game came out? Oh, we need that nerf. You got to nerf it. I should be able to stop them. No, that ain't how it works. Wideouts are better for a reason. And you've seen Gronk was more. I mean, don't get me wrong. Gronk is a top end player. He's one of the top players in the game. But yet you had a wide receiver. I don't even know my man's first name. That dude Janis on Green Bay catch a Hail Mary over Patrick Peterson. So you know what I'm saying. So I mean that goes to show you when Madden came out at launch, it came out the right way. But people said, "Oh, no, that doesn't happen." And yeah, it does. You just don't pay attention to it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to pay attention to when you have, anywhere between 10, 14 games going on to pay attention. You're not watching and paying attention to every single play. And that's the point I want to make. Like, when you don't see all of that, it's easy to just write off and say, "Oh, well, they shouldn't be able to do this. They shouldn't be able to do that." And that goes to the point that we were making, that we've been making the past few weeks, and even when callers called in regards of the aggressive catching scheme and everything. Now, I can understand tuning down the one-handed catch animation, but other than that, no, aggressive catching is the way it is. Because I pose this question to the people that doubt that. How many DBs are better at playing wide receiver than wide receivers? You know what I'm saying? I mean, they carry the ball like a loaf of bread. They carry the ball like a loaf of bread. They don't, they don't have great hands for catching, even with those stick-'em gloves on. They don't have great hands. That's why they play defense. You look at a guy like Richard Sherman, look at how good he is. You know what I'm saying? This guy was a wide receiver converted to a cornerback. Like, he has the wide-out instincts. That's what helps him look so much better than just your typical DB. So I'm like, just think if you had a guy like Calvin Johnson early in his career convert to a corner. That dude would be nuts with his hand. You throw it to him, it's a wrap. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it all makes a difference. So you got to understand that the full picture, the full spectrum of it when you see this kind of stuff show up in these games. Okay, that's why that stuff is in the game the way it is. But when we look at it in Madden has the tools for you to be successful. The problem is people aren't using those tools, and they're just complaining. And I mean, I'll look at Rex's Twitter account, and I see the tweets he gets. A lot of people are screaming for so many things to be nerfed when they're not even using the tools the game provides. Problem. See what I'm saying? So you gotta like don't come out here and scream for authenticity and you want it to be real and all that stuff when you're not even trying to use the tools. You gotta use all the tools, man. Otherwise, what's the point? And that's how these games, not, we go from Madden to 2K and whatever other title, that's how they all end up getting nerfed because of stuff like that. So, but that's all I wanted to say. I'll touch on the games, look forward to the Super Bowl. I hope it's a defensive slugfest, to be brutally honest, because you have two great secondaries going up against each other. So where Denver has names, what's the names? The Panthers, they have some names too, but they got a lot of game as a unit, especially when it comes to their defensive work. So I'm looking forward to the game next week, basically. So I'm looking forward to it. So I'll throw it back to you, Sim.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And, real quick, I see we do have a lot of calls in queue, not necessarily have they press 1, but just want to, reemphasize again, tonight's show is, definitely about the callers, man. We want to get it to be that point. We had a great show last week. So as soon as you come in, press 1. We'll keep an eye on how long you've been waiting, but we'll bring you in as soon as possible. I do see we have a call in queue. 267 is the first one, and then 615. Now, I know Azure Effect, his line, his area code is 615 as well, but I don't think this is his number. But if it is, then that'll just be him. If not, then oh well. But also, we have 757, so I think what we'll do, we'll get the first caller in, first 1 or 2 calls, then we'll bring 757 in. You guys know what he'll do. Let him have his segment. And then after that, we'll get into the topic. We'll discuss topics if we have time. Hopefully the calls are just taking us in another direction, and that'll be that. But as far as the games, man, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the playoff games. Like you said, man, I don't know what happened with Arizona. To me, Arizona is always, I know this is going to sound crazy to some, but they look like a streaky team to me. Even though they won a lot of games, and the reason why I say that is, you have to remember, I was actually in attendance when they came to Pittsburgh. And I saw that we were able to hang with them at that point in the season. And this is a time when, at defense, the secondary was probably at its worst at that point. And I just watched that game, and I was like, I don't know how we're able to stay in this game. Granted, Carson Palmer did throw for 400 yards, but they just couldn't convert. They couldn't turn, the yardage into touchdowns. Carson Palmer threw a couple picks, and it just seemed like their defense wasn't as powerful as I thought it was. And this was, again, with the Honey Badger he was playing. Now, I know when you take him out of the equation, that affects their defense, but come on, man. I mean, let's just be honest. I'm one of the people now who I'm starting to look at these teams, and I look at all of the teams who overcome adversity. Like the Patriots, teams like that. And, hey, even the Steelers to some degree this year. And I'm starting to look at the second and even third man on the team to determine how deep you are. So my point is, one guy being out, I can't sit there and say no more, oh, that's the reason why their defense completely changed. Possibly, he definitely had an effect. But to me, if you are a solid team, everybody goes through injury. You should be able to still, get the job done if you are a great team. And it's just weird, man. I mean, you see how they win those games through the season, and then Carolina just made them look like the same old Cardinals, like from years past. Strange, man. But as far as the Broncos game, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm sorry if I piss off any Patriots fans listening. I'm sorry as I can be. I have no hate towards Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. We can say what we all want to say or what we want to feel about, if, he cheated or whatever the case in years past. At the end of the day, man, you still got to go out there and perform. Even if the balls were deflated, I mean, come on now. I mean, did it help all of them times? Let's just be real. But with all that aside, I'm just tired of seeing them. I'm just tired of seeing the same teams go to the Super Bowl. So I was heavily rooting against the Patriots. And even though Denver was there a couple years ago, it still won't like seeing the Patriots again. So I loved what I saw. I saw defense and pass rush dictate a game. And this is a guy, Brady gets rid of the ball in like 2 seconds, and he still couldn't get away from Von Miller and the rest of them boys. The guy Wolf came up. Ware was creating pressure. I forgot the other dude's name on the line. But it was amazing to see that. I thoroughly enjoyed that, man, because like Smitty said, I hope to see a nice defensive battle in the Super Bowl since both teams are probably, the Denver defense is ranked number 1. Carolina can't be that far behind. I'm not sure if they're ranked. But I want to see a solid football game, come down to maybe the last drive or so, who's going to be the hero. And I think we might get that. It might be one of those games. Now, real quick, I'll speak on Carolina. Carolina is a very deceptive team, man. I don't know how they produce so many points. Of course, you got Cam Newton, but you look at his health, Ted Ginn Jr., whenever he decides to bring his hand to the game, he is a threat because he got the speed still. But, the only thing else you really got is Greg Olsen. You can't really say Funches, because Funches is just coming around. Young guy. No Kelvin Benjamin. Really only one legit running back, and we all know nowadays in the NFL you probably need to have 2 or 3. It's crazy. Carolina's defense just put those boys in position, where they could score points somehow, and it's amazing. But yeah, I can't wait to see it, man. I really can't wait. This is going to be an exciting Super Bowl. I'm going to be honest. I'm going for Cam, because it would be a great story. But at the same time, if the Broncos win, hey, that would be a great story for Peyton Manning as well. And, I know some Cowboy fans, like 205, would be happy. A lot of people are saying they would like to see DeMarcus Ware get himself a ring. So, I don't have no beef either way. I'm going to enjoy the game, but like I said, I want to see Cam do it. And later on in the show, we're going to get into some Cam Newton business, and that's even more reason why I would love to see him do it. But, yeah, man, let's go ahead and get these calls rolling. We got 267-615, then we'll take 757, and then after that I see 205. And then I guess we'll hit the topics depending on, what direction you guys take us in. So 267, man, we got you in. What's going on, man?
Fellas, what's up, man? Listen,
hey, what's that?
I wanted to see. I totally agree with you when you about Arizona, man. I really thought that Arizona was going to do their thing, man. I would have loved to see Larry Fitzgerald go out with a ring, because he is up there in age. You know what I'm saying? So it was very rare to see him drop a pass. But I ran across some news. And I remember Smitty saying it about, I want to say last week or 2 weeks ago, about the UFC 2 and how Mike Tyson, and you had Iron Mike, the young Mike, in the game as well as, Mike Tyson up to date. And I'm looking at it, and it boggled my mind because as I'm looking, and I understand that UFC is the most popular fighting, I believe that's opinion, but I'm a boxing guy. I love watching boxing, and it threw me off because I'm like, you guys can make this game look so good, but yet we haven't heard news from a fight night game. I'm lost because I'm like, if you could put Mike Tyson, that's not even a UFC fighter, in UFC, that's a smack in the face to boxing fans. It's like, are we really being heard? I've really been sitting back for for a while now since backwards compatibility has come to the Xbox One, and I'm like, look, I need to go back and re-download my Fight Night Champion because that's my fix. You understand what I'm saying? That's my fix right there. And I still haven't been able to do that yet because they haven't approved it yet. But I just wanted to get y'all take on that, man, see how y'all felt about that. Cause I do remember y'all was going to say something about it, but I had to go to work, so I couldn't really listen to the rest of the show. But yeah, man, I'm kind of disappointed about that. I just want to know what y'all thought. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man, I'll go ahead and kick it off, and then I'll throw it to Smitty. Man, anybody that knows me, they know I am a Fight Night fan, a super boxing fan. I mean, to me, boxing and football is I think football might edge it a little bit, but that's like my 1 and 1A. I would want nothing more than another fight night. I mean, looking at how these games have progressed with the graphics and the blood, and I just think about all of the possibilities that a fight night could have. At the same time, I look at it too like it might piss me off because I'm going to be as critical to that as I am with Madden. And, you know, the things that piss me off about fight night, you know, I was saying, listen, that ain't boxing. You know, the different fighters don't have different footwork and, you know, like power shots don't really have the effect that they should. The cumulative shots didn't have the real effect. And I know it's a video game, but I just feel like when you're dealing with games that are based on physics and fatigue and things like that are supposed to matter, you got to do the best job possible to replicate that. And just to give you an example, it was times when in fight night you could throw a haymaker and then the other guy throws it right at you too, and like, yo, it's you still able to complete that haymaker after getting hit with the other guy. You know, that don't happen in boxing. Think about it, if you watch boxing and you see, I mean, dudes land at the same time. And maybe every once in a while you get a beast that can take a shot and he come right back with his. But most of the time when you get caught with a clean haymaker, like a counter shot, ain't no coming back. Like, you're not going to just come right back to, like, I have a millisecond right behind that and land. It just don't happen like that all the time. And, like, when the arms, you know, hit each other, it was really no real effect. Just stuff like that, man. I mean, I could go so much deeper, but those are the glaring things that always jumped out to me is, like, you know, different fatigue from different players and, you know, all of that stuff, the footwork, none of that stuff really mattered in fight night to the degree where I would want it to matter. You know, I would really want to be able to replicate Floyd Mayweather being a defensive wizard, also being able to replicate a dude like Triple G. He's very technical as well, but when he get to you, it might be a problem. Or what about a dude like what's my man's name? You can't replicate a dude like Canelo Alvarez. You can't do it in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have those different styles. It just wasn't it was not in the game. Or like a James Kirkland, a dude who's just strong. He just got no defense at all. He just gonna come at you. You couldn't really replicate those kind of things, man. It didn't matter. So that's why I said it might piss me off as well, because I know I would be extremely critical trying to get it to be like the real-life counterpart. But, yeah, I agree with you, man, as far as the Mike Tyson thing. And, you know, let me throw it to Smitty. But I think we both believe that it could be possibly some signs of life, or at the same time it could be that they telling us, well, this is as close as you're going to get to boxing. I don't know. What you think, Smitty?
Well, from posting the video about it, you know what I'm saying, I think that, like I said, this could possibly be a segue into a fight night. Now, the one thing you got to remember here is that EA Canada, their team, well, they made an exclusive deal with the UFC, so it's basically like how it is with Madden in the NFL. That's like saying if the Madden team said, you know what, we want to go ahead and make another game on the side. It's like, well, they gotta fulfill this commitment to the NFL first and foremost. You see what I'm saying? At least that's what I think. That's how I feel about it. And see, the other thing too is if Brian Hayes flew over to like he literally was at Tyson's house when they discussed that. You know, he was at Tyson's house and Tyson was saying, why don't you put me in the game? And then on top of that, he's like, why don't you put me, like, that was Tyson's idea. Put me when I first got in the game and then put me in, you know, like more in my prime, you know, like post-prime, you know, like my latter years of my career. So that was his idea to put those versions in there. And I mean, you get flew out to the man's house and he requests that. I don't think you just going to tell him, no, I ain't going to do it. or well, we'll think about it. Like, no, you gonna go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and this is the other thing too. Tyson is cool with Dana White. Dana White, he runs the UFC. Okay, well, the Furtado brothers own it, but he basically is running the organization. And on top of that, he gets Mike seats to every single event, especially in Vegas. So I don't know if he flies them out, but he has him front and center, like, or wherever he sits at. You know what I mean? He takes care of them fully for all their events that they have. So just think what kind of backlash or what kind of friction that would cause. You have this exclusive deal with the UFC. You say to basically Dana's good friend, because he's got to be good friends with him to want to invite him out like that. His good friend Tyson, that you just, oh no, I ain't going to put him in the game. You're going to have some issues on your hands with that. So they put him in the game. You know what I mean? Like that all plays a part in that. But I understand it being a smack in the face to an extent because, yeah, for years we wanted a fight night title. But this is the thing. Who currently in boxing is on a level of promotion in the public eye that you can market around outside of the obvious? Meaning Floyd Mayweather, basically. He's the most highly marketable name you could go off of. Manny Pacquiao, guys like that. Outside of resorting to old school fighters. You see what I'm saying? Like there's a few people that have a little bit of buzz, but there's no character. Like there's no character being pushed in terms of boxing, and it's like boxing's not really being promoted to a level where it's like, okay, yeah, we got to do this. Like if Fight Night were to come out with a game, if they were to come out with a game now, a lot of people, the general public, will not be able to identify. At least I'm just assuming, obviously, but I don't think the general public would be able to fully identify with who they put in the game, especially if it was current. You see what I'm saying? Like UFC characters and fighters, these are people like you have different characters in UFC. You have guys like Anderson Silva. You got Conor McGregor, the way that dude acted. You had Rampage, the way he acted. You had all these different characters, but they're just not guys acting out. These guys actually get in the ring and they bang. Like these guys are legit. In boxing, the guy that really only had that kind of flair that made that noise was Floyd, and that's it. And now he's pretty much done. So, and well, I would say right now, at least from who I see, that really brings some kind of flair to boxing, at least in the sense of getting some kind of public noise, is Shannon Briggs. He walking around acting a fool, screaming "Let's go, champ" all the time, trying to fight Vladimir Klitschko, and now he's trying to fight Wilder and everything. So, it's funny, and it brings some kind of noise, but that's what we need, guys that are in boxing, in the sport, doing their thing, making that kind of noise. Like, that's what boxing needs to get that kind of flair, get the general public attention, and then that would give even more incentive to put a boxing game out there. Now, I believe there'll be one, but I don't think it'll come as soon as we would want it to, though. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, man, we'll have to see how that works out. But we got AZ on the line here now, man. Anything you want to add to that, brother?
Yeah, man. I had to call in from another phone. Sorry, so y'all didn't know it was me, but I'll rehash the stuff that we talked about at the beginning, I guess at the end, about the playoff games and such. But I look at it like this. I heard somebody on sports radio probably a couple months ago. They were talking about this and just the epidemic of why football and basketball is so much more popular than, like, where have the heavyweights gone? Where is boxing going? Why are there no African Americans playing baseball as there used to be, back when they had Negro League integration into baseball and all that kind of stuff. And they were saying that the other sports popularity and just the lack of coaching and training in that specific area leads to a sport taking a hit like that. Because nowadays, dudes, let me say, I mean, this is just a person who comes to mind right off the top of my head. Rest in peace. Anthony Mason, to me, would have been a good heavyweight boxer. It's just in frame and attitude. But he's a power forward in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like, these type of individuals who would be boxers and, UFC fighters. Well, I mean, a lot of UFC is popular now. So, I guess they're not really being taken away. But your average shortstop or second baseman or center fielder is playing basketball. He's a point guard. He's not a, shortstop. He's not being taught that because in basketball, you need a hoop and a ball. You don't need a mitt and, boxing gloves and all that kind of stuff, and people will teach you. Of course you do. You still have to learn techniques of the sport and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying it's much more popular to say, hey, I'll put my son in football when he turns 4 and say, you know what, I'm going to have my 4-year-old knock somebody out. I'm going to take him to teach him boxing. So, I mean, he's just not having the sweet science of boxing respected. And just to hit on the fight night note, people, to add to what Sim was saying, people, when I look at it in the video game sense, and it's about the culture as well, just that we live in, about how you're saying that you could throw a haymaker and, it not really affect you and take one at the same time. It's no different than how people play Madden trying to throw the ball down the field all the time. What's the strategy of just, going for a home run every play? Everybody has to have a Sports Center or a YouTube type moment. So whereas, what about the guy who can formulate a game plan and say, you know what, I'm going to run a flood concept right here, hit you with an inside zone, trap, quick pass, screen, and move down the field on a 10-play drive. No, people don't want to do that. They want to hit you over the top of the head, straight on, and try to keep doing it. So it's just, the culture that we live in now, and I think fight night, with boxing being such, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not Sim, but to me, one of those strategic sports of fighting that you just really have to, if you're a good boxer, you'll see like Floyd Mayweather, you can pick your person apart, technically. And I don't think dudes that want to sit in a match for 12 rounds, they want to knock somebody out in the first 2-3 rounds and go on to the next thing. And that's why UFC is popular, because you have flash knockouts and people get knocked out in the first round like they used to in boxing when you had some of those heavyweights like Mike Tyson and, you had characters like Ali and George Foreman and Joe Frazier back in the day. So for them to put out a fight night, it would be like they would have to be putting it to a core crowd. Sim would eat it up. I would look into it if it was strategic. I wouldn't want any arcade, boxing game, but I think it just speaks to the culture of basketball and football being more popular sports, because you have one of the best games that we know of in sports franchises in MLB The Show. I mean, NYKia is the only person that I know that plays that hardcore. Like, he'll sit up and play 120 games. I don't know how you do it. Shout out to you. But, that's not for me. And I enjoy baseball. I played baseball in high school, but I couldn't do it in the video games. Like, I'm not going to sit down and play and take the Brewers, the Milwaukee Brewers, and try to take them to a World Series. I mean, I'm much more caught into football and basketball. That's why I got my hooks into. But I think that's just why we don't have a fight night at this junction. Like Smitty said, you'd have to rely on old legends and I guess maybe features like they did with the previous fight night of having a story that connects you to the game. Because right now, like Smitty said, you don't really have a connection to boxing outside of Floyd Mayweather and, a couple other guys casually. Now, I'm sure, hardcore guys can say, y'all, well, this guy is a up-and-comer. He's the next such and such. But the casual public, in order to sell a game, you have to have personalities, like you said, like Smitty said, with Conor McGregor, Anderson Silva, Rampage, the list goes on. So, I mean, that's just what it boils down to. But I would love to see a resurface of an EA baseball game, to be honest, see their take on it, as well as a fight night. I just would like to see companies say, you know what, we might take a loss here, but let's put out a game that we want to put out. Let's not worry about the profit margin. Let's just have some gumption. And if it doesn't succeed, then it doesn't. But at least take a shot and go for it and put it out for the public to enjoy. Because who knows, you might create a cult classic. You might create an all-pro football 2K and people hold on to your game forever. So, at least go out there and try. I would like to see it. But, that's just what it is. That's what my take on it, on why boxing is not how it is, how it used to be. Because you have those players in other sports, and they're not being taught boxing.
Yeah, man. Boxing is one of those things, and it's interesting because you see it already in UFC. People who just try to be novice with it are not going to be as successful, and it's almost like people don't have that attention span. And that's why all of these games, Smitty says it 100 times, as do we, all of these games just need to have separate modes, man. It needs to be, it don't have to be that vague, but it needs to basically be like the old days, like arcade or simulation or whatever, something like that, because the whole, trying to please everybody or not making a product because it won't sell because of this and because of that, it's starting to make, sports games, they kind of get on your nerves, so to speak, some of these games, where you have other companies push forward with their game. But like boxing, and I'll say this real quick and then we'll move on. We'll bring on 757 and then get 205 after that. With boxing, you do have names, but nobody has that personality, like Smitty said. Because, me being somebody who watch boxing, there's a lot of people that I'm thinking that's up and coming. You got people like Terrence Crawford, who's a beast, but he's in a division right now that not a lot of people watch. But he's going to have to come up to welterweight or Sean Porter or Keith one-time Thurman. Like, that dude is a monster. Keith Thurman is actually the guy, I don't know if y'all remember, that was the guy that I said, nah, Floyd should not fight him. Don't fight that boy. Because that boy is young, he's in great shape, and he can punch. And he comes forward. The only problem Keith Thurman has is, his defense ain't that great. So Floyd probably would do the same thing he did to a lot of people that you thought was going to walk through him. He would figure him out. But if there was a guy that might have gave him a problem because of just, sheer youth and just being an animal, Keith Thurman might have presented somewhat of an issue. I can't go as far as saying that he would have won the fight because it's Floyd. But, don't leave that boy on. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. That dude is a problem. Nobody wants to fight him. But it's just like Smitty said, because of that, because these dudes are up and coming and none of them have that personality that makes it attractive. And some of them, not necessarily do they fight like Floyd, but you take a guy like Floyd, most people, and Smitty will agree with this, they don't like watching Floyd fight because in a lot of people's eyes, they think Floyd runs. To me, Floyd ain't running. He's playing defense. The thing is, we're conditioned, though, we like excitement. So a lot of us just want to see fights. Like, we've been spoiled. We've seen fights like, well, a lot of us wasn't born in this time, but you've seen the tape, Hagler versus Hearns and stuff like that. But if you really go back and look at those fights, they didn't want no defense going on. They were just fights. Or like a Mickey Ward versus Arturo Gotti. Two bums just fight. But it was exciting, you know what I'm saying? Because you're seeing all these punches and you like, oh, he's a man. But at the end of the day, probably the greatest fighter of all time was a defensive fighter as well, Muhammad Ali. Ali ain't do too much, standing right there and banging. Think about when he fought Foreman, the rope-a-dope. He lulled him to sleep, then he beat him. So, I ain't going to go too far off the deep end with that. I'm just saying, Smitty makes a great point. There's nobody that is as exciting as far as personality. Maybe, what's the dumb boy who got beat up? Cocky dude, man. Broner. Broner had a chance to be interesting, but he ran his mouth too much and he got his butt kicked. So that killed that right there. The other guy I think is probably one of the best fighters in the game right now that a lot of average people probably won't know him is Andre Ward. Ain't nobody trying to fight Andre Ward because he's their top. But there goes Smitty's point again, where UFC is just you either gonna get killed in that ring or you gonna win. There ain't gonna be no, they just jabbed them all night and they just, touched them here and touched them. No. We're going to see blood in UFC or we're going to see somebody tap out. That's why I think to the general public is more exciting. But let's go ahead and move on, man. Happy to have 757 back on, man. We've missed him for a week or two. Go ahead and get him on, get his take on, whatever it is he wants to talk about tonight. 757, we got you on. What's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
It's been a couple of weeks, but I have listened to the archives. Alabama's been calling me and just picking my brain a little bit. And my message has been to him, and I think my message should be to everyone, was, all right, are we asking the right questions? And are we putting our energy in the right place to get the answers or the video game that we want? So they said, well, what do you mean? Well, I own a company, and I understand the layers and the tiers and how it all works. From me being the founder all the way down to people who are working for me. But what I understood in this whole process and the conversation that you guys kept having to us is that Rex wants the game to be more simulation-based in what we see on Sundays, for lack of conversation. So what I said to myself, okay, if he wants it, and then we get what we want out of the box in 16, and then it gets tuned down, then it's not him who's doing it. So who are the conversations, who are the people that we need to be talking to and getting somewhat of an answer? Now, what I have to do in this conversation is exclude the Sim Standard because they really can't be a part of what we need to be done, because I don't want their energy to be misconstrued in the room and make it seem like y'all guys are on both sides of the fence. So what do I mean? All right, there are several people in this whole process that are ahead of EA, and one of them is Andrew Wilson. So why are we taking our energies and tweeting, Facebooking, the same message that the guys who were saying that the aggressive catch was overpowered? Now, we were calling into the show, and we may have sent a tweet here and there, but we weren't matching the casual energy. Now, they may have strength in numbers, but we have facts in what we see on the field and what is going on. So when somebody says the aggressive catch is over, they're saying it based on something that they want. I say it's a whine because they're not putting an actual fact behind what they're saying and why the aggressive catch is overpowered. They're not saying that they're putting a 70 overall defensive back on a 99 overall wide receiver and still expect for him to cover him, because in the past that has taken place. But when you guys had a conversation with us 2 games ago, you guys called your shot on 16 and said this is supposed to be the turnkey. This is the one we're looking for, and you guys hit it on the mark. But with you guys hitting it on the mark, what the Sim community did was we complained and moaned about it, but we didn't put together the same kind of round tables that took place when everybody had these myths or these so-called facts about Joe Montana. We're not sending videos as a group and tweeting as a group examples of why it's not aggressive catch or any other part of the game that they didn't like wasn't off or wasn't wrong. As a community, fellas, we can't be lazy. And again, I'm excluding the Sim Standard because they're already doing what I feel they need to be doing, and that's in the room. And some guys are going to call in today and say, man, Big Dog, that's bullshit. They're not listening. That's not true. I had a friend of mine tweet every single day. And guess who popped up in his DMs? Andrew Wilson. I'm not going to say who this particular friend is because we said we're not going to go into the details of it. But that was one person that he responded to and said, why are you tweeting me this? And I'm trying to understand why you feel this way. Now imagine the same group of us who don't like this game did that same movement, did that same thing. Because we have to get EA to not be afraid to give us football. Now, I don't want football for me. I don't want football for the tournament guys. I want to give us a representation of what's on the field and let us all figure it out. And may the best man win. Now, we'll have a slight advantage because we understand the game, zone coverages, players, and et cetera. But we have to continue to put out the videos. We have to ask for Gibbs and Falls to talk about something other than Mutt. And talk about connected franchise. And talk about those different things. But we got to stop saying that they're not listening and our voice doesn't matter. Because, again, it was very enlightening that one person did this every single day, and by the end of the week, he got something in his DMs from him. What a very enlightening conversation that he explained to me and we talked to me about, and the dude was brutally honest about some things. Frostbite's never coming to EA. Let me say that. It's never coming. It does not match up. It's never going to be there. See, these conversations that this guy was brutally honest with him about. So what we need to do from this point moving forward, and this includes me, is not to be lazy about what we want. We have to be as diligent about Facebooking and tweeting and Instagramming or wherever the hell they at. We have to take that same kind of passion and put our fingers where our mouth is. The same way that those guys are who are complaining about aggressive catch. They wasn't just saying it, they was tweeting it. They wasn't just saying it, they was Facebooking it. Now, what we have to do is put statistics behind why it isn't. We have to send videos about why it isn't. Because if we do not do this, the casual fan will always win. Because their voice is louder than ours. And they have no facts behind it. They just want to play Madden. We want football, and those are two different variables. So what I say to the Sim community is what we're really going to do. Because if we don't put that type of energy behind it, and if we don't have those forums and those conversations and then email and tweet these forums to these guys about these conversations that we're having, and believe it or not, they listen to them all.
They do.
Then we would not get our game. I'll repeat that. We would not get our game because we got what we wanted. We allowed the casual fan to out-talk us, out-tweet us, out-Facebook us, and they got what they wanted. And what they wanted is to be able to do what they've done for the last 5 years, and that's play Madden, that's free safeties, that's let smaller DBs or DBs that does not have the skill set to stop a Megatron, stop Megatron. So until we get those things, until we figure out what our true message is, and fellas, we can't do it with picketing. We can't do it with disrespectful dialogue. We can't do it with cursing them out. We have to come with conversations about facts, about the game of football and what we want, and put statistics and videos behind it of how it should be played. And if we do that, I truly believe that we can start to train to move in the direction of football like they have in other sports and them to never look back. But until we start that real movement, and you guys who have these Twitter followers and these pages really start putting your energy into the conversation and into the real videos, then we will always get what we've always gotten, and that's Madden instead of football. So my question to you is, what are you really going to do moving forward? What is your movement really going to be moving forward? Because if it's not about none of that, stop calling into the show bitching and whining about what we don't have, and let's talk about the direction that we need to go in to get where we need to be. And that's a representation of the game that we see and that we love, and that we can move forward with them and them to say, never look back. These are the tools. This is the way that you play the game. We have to help the casual fan understand how to play the game and move forward in that direction. Fellas, I appreciate your time. I am so loving the Sim Standard League. It's moving at a greater pace, and I'm loving the energy swell that is in there. And I think it's because of several reasons. I think we have the advantage of being able to see gameplay. We have the ability to see what the game should have been and should be in our connected franchise. And I would love the fact that it would be more people being able to see it. But, hey, guess what? It's only 32 teams. Guys, I appreciate your time, man, and thank you for allowing me to express myself.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure. When you come on, you always have a great perspective. And real quick, to mention the league, all you got to do is watch the games, man. I mean, I stream them. I have been streaming them. I'm telling you, the gameplay that you see in those games is good. I mean, I'm sure there's some flaws somewhere, but the way we play the game is very enjoyable, and we have a good time as we continue to push forward. But, man, what 757 just said is what we tell y'all all the time. We have to be more constructive. We are there, so we do our job, and there's definitely a good handful of other people who are really active. But did you hear what he said, man? Andrew Wilson. And the funniest thing about Andrew Wilson, which y'all might not know, Andrew Wilson is really the guy now in terms of, like, the Tiburon studio. You know, he's in a higher position, but you could kind of look at him now as what we thought, what we all looked at Cam Webber to be. And what I mean by that is, I was definitely told this a while back. The vision comes from him. It was stuff that we were told last year, and I know the fellas remember, and they was like, yo, that's all Andrew Wilson. And we was like, what? And the reason why we felt that way is because perception would tell us Madden 25, E3 stage. That's the Andrew Wilson we know. Seemed like we were being sold a dream. When the game comes out, it don't resemble nothing to the effect of what he was talking about. So it was even a shock for us when we were told, nah, Andrew Wilson is actually the one behind that. And we were like, what? Really? So I say all that to say this, man, is guys in high positions that make decisions that do actually listen. You heard what 757 said. Sometimes, like my father always taught me to close mouth, don't get fed. If you ain't saying nothing, or if you ain't really, you can expand on that statement, and the closed mouth opens the mouth, but it ain't opening the mouth to the right people, you still ain't going to get fed. So my man makes a good point. Don't waste your time. And I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, but we've been kind of feeding that to y'all like how grandma used to do to the cousin that ain't want to take his medicine. They put it in the oatmeal. We've been kind of feeding it to you without telling y'all that. Bypass the devs, man. The devs is on our side. They want to do exactly what we want. But those ain't the guys that could just kick the door down and say, we're doing this right now. They can't do that. Been telling y'all that. And you hear 757 come on here and he say, you know, what his man was able to do. I believe that all the way. Because those dudes watch too. That's the thing. Those guys are watching. So it's basically just being a thorn in their side. Because obviously the other crowd is a big thorn because they always getting stuff for them. Look at Mutt, man. All these tournaments and all of that. Because those are the people who talk. These dudes on the TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these guys, big-time Madden players, you know. But, you know, I ain't going to get too far into that, but I hope y'all get what I'm saying. Yeah. What you got on there, Smitty?
No, I mean, basically, yeah, like you said, and like you were alluding to, I mean, I'll pick it, you know, I will say this. And I was talking with Sim earlier about this. Yeah, you know, we know some of the guys that do the streams and do the telecast and do the broadcast, and, you know, we shout them out and we, you know, respect the work, but this is a problem. So there are guys out here that you could chop it up with them all day, talk football, X's and O's and everything, but when you pop Madden in, they're playing exploit football. They're using every cheap tactic possible to try and win, and then they want to be like, and then they want to lace football jargon over it and act like, oh yeah, this is as real as it gets. Like, no, it's not. You know, I've watched some of these tournaments, I've watched some of these games and these live streams and everything, especially during this Madden tournament, and I shake my head at a good amount of it because, yeah, if I don't give a care about authenticity for the majority of the time, oh yeah, I sit back, watch them, and have a blast watching them because these guys aren't playing football. They're playing Madden. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we stress and emphasize the point that we make. It would be awesome if we were to actually go down to the studio at some point and Andrew Wilson be there. That's it right there. I don't care if we had to spend over half the time just breaking bread with him about this and be like, look, this is day 3. We're going to hammer this point home. Quit serving us Madden and let these guys serve up football, okay? We don't need – Madden is the name, okay? Madden is the game these guys are used to because just let people remember, Madden 25 – when Madden 25 first came out, what did tournament gamers say? Oh, yeah, we got to play on Gen 3. Well, why? You see what I'm saying? The game had that. The game came out and had that authenticity to it that, you know what I'm saying, you couldn't do everything you used to. So they had to get acclimated to how the game felt, played, ran, etc. And in order for them to do the tactics they wanted to, oh, no, we got to play on Gen 3. But see, then, as we spoke about before, the game gets nerfed, and now these guys are comfortable with it. And that goes back to the point I said earlier. You look at Rex's Twitter, and I mean, I'm pretty sure you look at it, if it probably shows up on Clint's as well. You have people that are legitimately whining and complaining about aspects of the game and plays, and they say, nerf everything. Nerf this, nerf that. But then when he asks for details, these people aren't able to give it. So, you know, and they're not even using the tools. I mean, this is what I'm saying. That's why you need, like we said earlier and like I've said many times before, you need a tuner. A tuner that I could go in and adjust and say, I want to play on default when it was shipped. But you know, versus the most recent update where basically DBs are just as good as wideouts now in terms of making plays. Like, give me a tuner and give me a hardcore simulation mode. Because like I was talking to Sim about this earlier too offline. Drive Club they're patching in a hardcore mode next month. You see what I'm saying? That's the point right there. Like, they're patching it in. Now, Madden has a patch coming up, but I highly doubt, now we don't know systematic architectures and all that stuff. I don't know if Madden would be able to just do something like that or not. We don't know. So it's not like, oh, because they did it, you should just be able to do it lickety-split. Like, no. But what I'm saying is these guys have been patching, updating, etc. Same Project Cars, same deal. They've been patching and updating and tuning their game in an upward motion. Not, well, we need to balance everything out, make it okay so the tournament gamers and these gamers and this crowd and that crowd, everybody can accept it. Like, no. If they're upset, then they just got to be mad. And they're going to have to either evolve or get left behind. And that's what Madden needs to do. You got Drive Club evolving that way. You have all these other games that evolve like that, but then Madden isn't doing it. That's all I'm saying. It needs to be about that instead of being about answering for a tournament gamer that gets upset because they lose. Like, no, that happens. Tough luck. So, but that's all I really got to say on that. I'll pass it back to you or to AZ.
AZ, what you got, man?
I'll be quick, man, just because I think great call by 757, and I think what has been said is right to an extent. I have even put on Twitter before, what are the top 10 things, Sim knows this, Smitty knows this, that need to be fixed? And I got the answer from the Sim community, put more football in. Are you kidding me? Like, is that a real answer? Please be descriptive here. But these are the kind of individuals you deal with in the simulation community. Like Smitty said, like Sim said, you'll have a tournament guy that will give you examples. Okay, I want this 4-3 stack to play like this, or this is what's broken on this. They go into detail about, what they want fixed. You talk to a simulation football guy, hey, what does Madden need to, become better in your eyes since you're a 2K fanboy? What could make it more like 2K? Put more football in. It's not football. Football can't be played on. Are you serious? There are not 22 people out there running football principles. And, oh, man, I meant to record. I don't know. I'm going to have to see if I recorded it. But Game Changers, the show that comes on CBS, came on right before the playoff game. And they were talking about everything that goes into the programming of the game. It had Anthony Williams on there. Rex was on there. Who else was on there? I don't think Clint was on there. So it was just, they were just talking about a brief segment of everything that goes into a play that I don't think people understood. And I wish I could, if I record it, I'm going to try to put it up, man, or I'm going to send it to somebody and see if they can put it up. I don't know if I can put it up on my channel. It might be copyrighted by CBS, but it's something that people needed to see because he was going in and talking about how each play has a geometric function and all this kind of stuff, and to even get the wide receivers to line up in the right play, in the right place, and then when the play is snapped, to get them to run at right angles, at the right correct angles of the play that it's supposed to, that they're copying from the playbook of the NFL coordinator, that it takes so much geometry and all this kind of stuff, and so much stuff can go wrong. I don't think people can understand that because people think they can just snap their fingers and make a football game. And I'm not making an excuse for, Madden and EA because true enough, they still have some areas that need to be fixed. And we talk about that all the time. But the simulation community, which I'm no longer part of, you can have that old bickering about 2K and EA all day. We rolling with whoever out here producing football games. So guess what? 2K is not going to do it. We rolling with EA, giving them the feedback. But put more football in is not an answer. Simulation community. Do better.
Put more football in there. Man.
So you mean you want the football to be bigger? You want them to inflate the football more? Is that the definition of more football?
Man, I'll tell you.
These dudes are.
It's funny, man, because I've told this story on the show before, but it's fitting to say it again. Clint Oldenburg, well, I want to say it was last year. And there was something, and shout out to my man Shop, man. Shop Master doing his thing out there. A lot of you guys know him. But, you know, I remember one time that we were sitting there, we were talking to Clint. We was like, man, we need to do something about, like, short yardage and goal line and stuff like that. You know, guys, you know, the players should do this and, you know, they should get low and all of that. And Clint was like, sounds great. But how would you do it? How would you implement it and how would it work? And I knew right then, I said, okay, I see what you're doing. He said, you feel me, right? And I said, yeah, I do. Basically, they like, if you're going to give an idea, basically they don't want you to just say what needs to be done. Tell them, how do you think it would work? How do you see it working? Now, some people would challenge that and they'd be like, that's their job. They did theirs. Okay. I somewhat see your point, but I have to disagree, though. Because at the end of the day, they doing their job. We're bringing them the idea. So what's wrong with us telling them from a player standpoint how we think it should work? So I say all that to say this. You have to be specific. And just like Azur said, man, a lot of the turning dudes, they real specific. We got a couple of those guys who play freestyle in the Game Changer program. But guess what? When they put up feedback, they got a paragraph showing, look, this ain't right. This is a glitch. This blitz is working all the time. Look at what it's doing. This is why it's happening. I've done this. I've done that. It needs to be this way. They take the time to really go in. Now, we do that, the three of us, not tooting no horns, but we really break bread with it. Like when Vic Lugo was there, there was times when we would just sit with Vic and we didn't even go through controls. How should it work? Now, when we implement that, do you think we should do it this way or that way? What y'all think? And that's the type of feedback you have to give, man. You can't just be blind with it and say, put more football in there. What is that? I mean, because to be honest, I'm sorry. Y'all don't agree with me?
Such a ridiculous answer. And that's what I want to get down with people who were from that movement who still get on there and talk like they scorn women about Madden 06. Those are the type of people that are saying put more football in there. I don't even want to be associated with that.
It's crazy, man, because I'm sorry. Y'all might not agree. Go look at my streams, man. I'm showing, and I play it live to show people, listen, I don't set up these plays. You seeing football happening. I challenge anybody to tell me that there is not good football being displayed. Now, the way the animation looks, that might be a different story. You know, everybody has their own opinion. But you got to remember, too, you know, we are a society, it seems. Well, I ain't going to say we. I'll say the society now, because I'm not like that. And my brothers here on the show are not like this either. But people seem to think that stuff should work every time. When you look at football, matter of fact, even in the Super Bowl coming up, I guarantee you're going to see a missed block. You're going to see a blown coverage. You're going to see a holding. You might see somebody trip up and fall. My point is, when do we get to the point where we can accept, dang, that was just blown coverage? My beef has always been, can I go into the instant replay and really see what happened? In Madden 16, yeah, sometimes. Can I go into the instant replay and see a flaw? Yeah, I've seen that before too. But there's a lot of times, and I've shown you multiple times, even during the stream, that you see good football. The game I played last night, for you guys who watched it, that play action pass to Heath Miller, why did that work? He had inside position on that safety. Clear as day. He jumped up for it, and I held the button down so he couldn't get hit. Use the controls in the game. Why did that pass to Martavis Bryant work? Dude left him in single coverage. I said, okay. I audible to a play action, shot play. Went downfield for 60 yards. Now, if you go back and look at that play, there was nothing cheesy about it. nothing fluky, that can very well happen. And that's all I'm saying. Like, don't come at me and tell me that the game. Don't say this to me, man. The game is trash, and that's it. Because I need to really know what you're saying. Because 2K5, 2K8, Backbreaker, NCAA, every football game I ever played had flaws in it, and there was things that I could point at and say, I don't really like that. But I didn't say the game was trash. And I'll end it with this, and then we'll get 205. This has always been the thing that has been hilarious to me. Not even the 2K thing. But there are so many people that I have talked to over the years that will tell me NCAA blew the doors off of Madden, right? Now, that's a matter of opinion. But I'm here to tell you that NCAA 14 and Madden 25 and all that was the same people made the game. There's no difference in that game as far as the engine. Same problems I saw in Madden were the same problems you see in NCAA. So I just didn't understand how people would say it blew Madden away. I'm like, really? It's the same gameplay engine. There might have been aspects of the game that you liked. I'm not knocking that. I'm talking about those blind people, and I say blind because they just, I hate Madden. People who said NCAA blew Madden away. And I could never agree with that statement because it's the same game engine. But whatever. 205, let's get you on here, man. See what you got for us tonight. What's been going on, man?
Not much. What's up? How are y'all?
Yeah, what's up?
Good, man.
757 covered a lot of things I was going to talk about, but earlier my brother was playing the UFC 2 beta, and I was watching him play a little bit, and that game looks absolutely amazing. Like, there's literally a chess match in that game to where you have to, like, decide beforehand what you're going to do. Like, if you're in the grapple position, like, unlike in the UFC, the previous one, and I understand that they had 2 years to work on it or 18 months or however long it's been. I understand that, so, I'm not going to get too into saying, Madden has to turn the corner right now. But leading on into that, though, when you're in the grapple position, you have to think more of what you're going to do than ever before that I've noticed in that game. It's like a chess match, and so your decisions have a counter reaction, and that's what I enjoy. So that's what I want to see in Madden. Moving forward in 17, I would love to see to where if I play in the 3-4 and I move my middle linebacker to blitz, and I decide to move him to the outside to cover on the tight end to help get like a chip block or something, and it leaves the middle of the field open, and the running back gets the ball because I'm thinking that it's a pass, and, they're in shotgun, and they end up running a draw play, and my middle linebacker's not there to pick it up, and they pick up 15 yards. I had to think, well, what if they run a draw play on me, late in the game in the fourth quarter on, like, the 6-yard line or something? Maybe I leave my linebacker in now, and then they beat me on the sideline with either like a pitch or a pitch sweep or something to the running back with like a screenplay, or the tight end runs a fade route to the end zone. There's just certain things I have to think about. So that's the things I want to see Madden do. It kind of makes you think more than you would ever think before. Does that make sense? Like, let's see, like if you, do you get where I'm going here, guys, or am I wrong?
Oh, no. I got you. Yeah. The
okay.
more strategic, the better. Yeah.
Okay. That is like one of my biggest things, and then also like we keep talking about, like I think that the game that we got at the beginning of the year was really good coming out of the box, and I believe them when they say 17 is going to be really a game changer for us. My biggest problem is if Rex is listening or anybody up top is listening, please do not let your hard work go to waste. My biggest thing is your hard work that you put in for 9 months or 10 months or so, or however long it was, went to waste when you patched this game. And I believe it was done because of wanting to make sure they got their sales. You know, they don't want certain people to turn around and go, well, it's unplayable if I can't just do the things I've always done in Madden. I think that Madden has this thing that it really needs to just remarket itself over, like rebrand itself. And that's how I feel. Like, I honestly think there should be a movement with us, like 757 was saying, but I also think there should be a movement also with us to rebrand this game, because we have let these people, these so-called sim people and so-called tourney guys or all this, literally put this cloud over this game, which it was never supposed to be. Madden was always supposed to be a teaching tool to teach you football. And people have made Madden into a joke over the years, and even the sim community looks at it as a joke. But, you know, the real true joke to me is that these same guys that sit here and prop up 2K, go back and play 2K5. You see the same daggone problems in that game that you see in Madden 5 or Madden 6, 7, whatever it was. You have those same exact problems. Look at NBA 2K16. They ain't done anything. You know what they did? They sat and put lipstick on a pig and sold it to you for $65 and told you it was a brand new game. You want the truth? I'll give you the truth. This game isn't new. It's the same game we've been getting for years, since 1998. That's the facts. And people want to sit here and hold this game up to some huge standard. Oh, if it's so true that this game is the standard, why is it that VF, Bills, and about 20 other people told you not to play it on PC, don't play it on PS4, don't play it on Xbox One, go back and play it on PS3 and Xbox 360? I'll end my call with that. Y'all have a great show, and I'll listen. Peace.
Man, definitely a great call, man. You said a whole bunch there, and it's funny because, you know, I guess we'll run into the UFC thing off of your call, and after we do that, we'll grab 410. But I'll say something real funny about Madden real quick. The funny thing is, and I don't think everybody realizes, the sim people, the ones who, you know, the large majority of the sim crowd is the reason why the game got nerfed. Do y'all realize that? Think about it. The tourney players weren't complaining about guys like Calvin Johnson being able to catch all over the place. They weren't mad about that. The MUT guys weren't really mad about that, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just saying general, just browsing over who were complaining. All I kept seeing that was being sent to Rex, because y'all remember everybody always tagged me in their comments to Rex. Man, these guys are catching too much. Man, I can't stop this dude. Man, Julio Jones, I can't stop him. That ain't football. He's catching too much. It was sim people. Why do you think people like myself, the guys here, NY Kia, made videos saying, nah, man, it ain't overpowered. Look, you can stop it. Do you think those videos would have been made if there was a tourney player saying that? Think about it for a second. Would we have made videos because it was a freestyle, casual guy complaining? We was making that video because it was people in the sim community that had an issue with it. And it got nerfed. How funny is that? The sim crowd was the reason why, because let's just don't kid yourselves. Let's remember what that patch did for the most part as far as the nerfing aspect. It allowed defensive players to have more win chances. And that's why people like, what's his name, Darius Slay, that everybody's talking about, is like a beast corner. That's why, because that was tuned to give defenders more chances to break up passes and pick the pass off and all of that. once again, Sim community. I just find that crazy. That's the most ironic thing I have ever seen, man. But anyway, leading into UFC, and I have to apologize to some people out there. I did something wrong today and didn't even realize it. Shout out to my man Hard 8 Times that brought it to my attention. I realized that I couldn't stream the beta, right? I couldn't figure out why. I said, whatever, I'll make a couple videos. I put up 2 videos. And it got some decent views fairly quick. But then Hard 8 was like, yo, take them videos down. He's like, it said in the agreement that we're not supposed to show the game. And, it slipped my mind that it's actually a closed beta. Somehow I just never thought about that. It is technically a closed beta, and I did see in the email, that I received that it said not to share. I said, oh, man. So, I put it on private, so I know some of you guys probably saw it on Twitter and people retweeting that they liked the videos that I did, but I had to private them because, me mistakenly, I didn't realize that I wasn't supposed to show it. That was a mistake on my part. But UFC, man, I'll just say some real quick things and then I'll throw it to Smitty. What I noticed, and I'll let Smitty handle the gameplay side of it because I know he's probably played it a little more than me. But here are the quick things I wanted to say about it. Watching the stream, and I'm actually playing it now, but watching the stream, I picked up on a couple things. UFC 2, the Ultimate Team, was kind of interested in me because they allow you to purchase specific moves that you can trigger on demand. I have to bring that up because we're talking about Madden. Is that not what I know myself, I know Azure has said it as well, 757 said it. We need that in Madden. We need to be able to trigger the move on demand on the defensive line. I need to be able to say, okay, I've developed this guy. He has one hell of a spin move now, and I want to use it when I think I have the advantage. I want to be able to hit a button, and I know, regardless of whatever else, he's going to attempt that spin. I don't hit a button and he just does a finesse move, because a finesse move, I don't want it to be whatever the computer thinks is his best move. I want control over the move that I'm making. If I want to do a rip right now, try a rip. And if I can't pull it off because of obvious reasons, oh well. I love that about UFC. And like Smitty said, a lot of the stuff was in UFC 1, but it just caught my attention. I was like, dang, the fighting games have that. That's what we need on the D-line. Another thing that I liked about it, Smitty, and I talked to you earlier about it, I heard, what's his name, Brian Hayes, I heard him say that you can play against ghost players in the Ultimate Team. So basically, if I create my guy, I could play against other people's, he called it avatars, but he's like it would be their ghost profile. So that would be like me playing Smitty's guy. Have we not said that before here on the show? That's 2K's VIP. We need that in that. Think about that in CFM, and then after that I'm going to throw it to Smitty. But just think about CFM, how great that would be. If I'm trying to prepare for Azure, which me and Azure, we playing next week. We're both undefeated. We're 3-0. That's going to be a great game. But imagine if me and Azure now want to kind of plan and be like, man, I need to kind of study up on his play style, or I need to get in the lab. Why not be able to play against his profile and it mimics him? So now I can really prepare for him during that week.
Film
work, would be crazy.
Basically.
Yeah, that would be crazy. 2K had it. So we're not asking for anything that's not possible. And I don't know to what extent, but like I said, UFC 2 will have that. Now, I don't know if I can choose which guy I play, but either way, he said, if you're playing online and you don't have an opponent or whatever, you can continue to play, and it'll be guys' ghost profile. So that is available at EA to some degree. So those were the things that stuck out to me right away. I haven't played the game long enough to really give more information on that. I'm gonna defer to Smitty, because Smitty spent a lot of time with Part 1 and has played this beta as well. So definitely, Smitty, man, give us your thoughts on UFC so far, as far as UFC 2. No Smitty. Where's Smitty? Let me make sure he didn't fall off here. Oh, he's there. Smitty, you there? Smitty. Yeah, he may have had to step away for a moment. Y'all know he has a young child. AZ, man, I don't know if you've had a chance at all to play it, but have you seen anything from videos or stream or what have you that, catches your attention?
I'm a stepchild, man. I wasn't privileged to I'm an EA stepchild, get a chance to participate in the closed beta, but the stuff that I've been seeing from it, man, it looks great. And just from what you just said right there, with that going in hand with Madden, with the ghost data and the defensive line stuff we've been asking for. And you know what? Shout out to Vic, man. Even though he's no longer at EA, Vic, Clint, Rex were like a dream team. There's others up there that they just stick out in my mind because, like Sim said, Vic would sit down and say, how do we do this? Or, how does this work? How does this translate? Clinton say, okay, you want that in the game? How is it going to go on the control scheme? How is it going to look? We can't map these controls here because this is already there and it controls something else. Like, I think one of my big things was I wanted the D-line analog moves. Like, so that way I had freedom of movement. So if I want to do a spin move, I rotate in a, half circle or 360, type thing on the analog. Or if I want to do a rip, I can go left hard, then right hard on the analog. And right now, you can't really map it like that, but that's the kind of questions that they would ask. And just bringing it back to UFC, with them having innovation like that and pulling that off, if I get a chance to go down there and see 17, if it's not already in there, about those things. Because, like you said, to me, CSM could take it so much more. I keep bringing it back to Madden just because I'm, football, and I haven't had a chance to play the UFC beta. But let's just say, like Sim said, for instance, I play Sim next week. He's undefeated. I'm undefeated. I want to go in and say, what are the players that he likes to run on first down? I load that up, and then I'm prepared about it. James, okay, I see it. Excuse my son. He wants me to see James the Train. And then I load that up, and I'm preparing for it, and then now I have my first down play. Now, Sim might come out and do something entirely different, but it's like film study or film work. I'm going in and look at stuff. And sure, you have Twitch, and, I can look at his live streams and try to prepare that way. But I'm saying the ghost data of pulling it up and actually preparing for it with my players. And that's the kind of stuff, the kind of immersion that's missing, the kind of detail that's missing in CFM. Because, truth be told, we always go at it. Like me and Sim, when we play, it's like a 27-24 game or 24-21. Or maybe even a 13-team game, and he's been playing well. I hope he gets into the playoffs and cause some havoc, even though we both in the AFC. So, it's got to be one of us. It's like we can't play each other in the Super Bowl. So, it's Smitty's on the NFC side. So, if he made it, then that's a different story. But, I want that kind of immersion, because to me, CFM dies once you play your game and do your game prep. What else can you do? Mess around in the depth chart, upgrade your players, look at daddy leagues. So, you have to have something that connects you and keeps you connected, and Ghost Data would do something like that, because you have free practice in there, but you just basically free practicing against, your own team. But if I'm able to download Sim's defense, every player that he has, and say, you know what, he got Jarvis Jones, and he's playing him at left outside linebacker instead of right. I want to load that up. or he's playing, Cam Hayward at a different position. I want to load up his roster how he has it. And I talked to John White about this as well. I want to be able to export my CFM team. So that way, I'm not affected by the roster update. So if I want to start a new CFM with the team that I have currently, my Jets team, I download that data or that roster, and I'm able to play with my CFM team offline, which to me is a huge deal because, as we can see before, PS4 online goes down. Xbox One online goes down. So if that happens, then CFM is nothing. CFM online is nothing. But you need to be able to play offline as well. So offline data and the ability to download profiles and be able to play them or have them on stock to where I could do that because, if the internet or PSN goes down, I can't download it. But the ability to do so is something that's needed. So, hopefully, I don't know, I'm probably going to check it out as far as the UFC goes because we always try to bring ideas from EA games that they have currently into Madden just for, design's sake and ideas, period, because I know when Sim saw Frostbite go on the battlefield, he was like, oh, man, we got to get that. Then, PGA had it, and it's like, okay, now what can we do with Madden as far as, the weather and that having a role in affecting the game and all that kind of stuff. So we got to get there, but it's baby steps. But when we see stuff in other EA games, we're like, I got to collaborate, talk across the cubicle, go down the floor and talk to them, or strike up an email and talk to the people at EA Canada and use some of this stuff and talk, across, companies. So I don't know, man. We'll see. But hopefully I get a chance to get my hands on it and will offer better impressions at that time. But, what you think about it as far as, your time with it. And I know you're more of a boxing fan, but, how you feel about UFC as a product, even though they're on a 2-year dev cycle, so they can come out, differently than Madden does. How you feeling about it?
It seems a lot smoother. I didn't spend a whole ton of time with the first one, but it definitely seems like it flows a lot smoother. The main thing I like so far is grappling, like how you can tell that you're not really stuck. And you're not stuck and waiting for the other guys, like y'all are both moving at the same time, and which is another thing that we talked about in that unchaining those interactions to allow each individual to do their own thing. Those things alone, man, it seems like a nice game. I'm definitely going to have to play it a lot longer, spend some time with the beta here and, figure out what I like and what I don't like. Physical aspect seems pretty good. It's funny, you hear 205 said it's a great game, and I heard another guy which actually commented on the video that I had to private. He said this game looks horrendous. So it's funny how you see how far, back and forth on the spectrum it goes from opinion. Like, that's why, to me, man, I just, I have my opinion. I try to share it, and, people can take it for what it is. But 25 minutes, so let's grab these last two. Well, I don't know if it's the last two, but we have two calls. Definitely want to get them in. We have 410 I'll bring on first, and then after that, 407. And then, if we have time, we will address the Cam topic that we have here on the docket. But let's get it moving. 410, man, we got you in live. What's going on?
What's going on, fellas? It's Biz.
Yeah, what's up, man?
What up, man?
Man, this show's been off the chain tonight, man. Y'all been killing it, man. From top to bottom, all the callers, man. This has been wonderful, man. Like, I'm glad after the last couple of shows we got all of our anger off of our chest, and then we actually having a real nice grown-up conversation right now. Like, this outside of the box thinking, man. 205, 757, everybody, man. Just an incredible shout out to y'all, man. Like, this to me, man, is incredible because, we sitting up here right now, and I'm thinking about where we were this time last year, man. And I'm thinking about, like, how excited we were from the very first time we saw 16, yo. Like, whatever the first play of 16 we saw was, and just how excited you were, yo. And when we sit back and think about all the things that we're complaining about right now, just all of this considered, we're in really good shape, man. Like, we're in really good shape. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to, you know, enjoy 16 as much as I can, and I'm still having fun, man. Just in the competition by itself, you know. And it's not made me want to put it down. Like, I can't play 2K16 yet, and I haven't been able to from jump yet. It's just a bust to me. I said I know I went on my 2K rant, but you know, with Madden, man, like all the major gameplay items have been checked off the list. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about refinement and perfection right now. And, you know, we think about the difference of a pile in Madden 13 versus a pile right now. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those, you know, we're talking about chaining hoops together and being able to flow with this and this and that. What I want to do, man, you know, I want to talk about the practice in CFM in any mode period, but specifically CFM. You know, we can go into practice, yo, and we can have drives in practice and not just run one play at a time. You're talking about UFC. Every fighting game I could ever remember, you can go into training and chain together your combos, and you get a moves list on the side that shows you what you just did and how much damage you inflicted. Why, when we go through practice, can't we say, all right, I want to start my drive with X amount of time on the clock, 1st and 10 from whatever situation we want it to be in. And we have to finish in the end zone or with a change of possession, just like we would in any game. Make it a full team period like it would be in any practice any of y'all ever been in. And have us, you know what I mean, on after that segment is over, have the chance to go back and look at the plays that we talked and the plays that we went against and say what worked and what didn't. And if we want to further, we can save that playlist for that drive, and we can put that in as one of our scripts. And if we say, all right, this is the situation we put ourselves in, I like this little combo I put together right here. I like this little 6-play combo. Because a lot of us, you know what I mean, when we get into the, you know, 3 minutes left in the third quarter of our game, and we've already shown 3/4 of our serious plays that we only show a couple times in the game, you know what I mean, you sit there rummaging through your playbook. And I know a lot of dudes in this game, and I've been guilty of it in the beginning, but I'm getting back to my PS2 roots. You know what I'm saying? That just do the coach suggestions all the way up and down the field and don't even get into anywhere near half of their playbook. And if you had the chance to go through practice, yo, and you're required to call plays from the playbook with no coach suggestion, you get to track your progress. You say every whole drive you complete, you get 5 XP for all your players. I don't know what the number needs to be. Have it all tie into each other and have the reward based off of how much time you put in. You know, when you talk about game plan of 15, that's when you start to incorporate the scout team. The question I have for y'all, do you think that the PS4 technology has been maximized with any Madden game so far?
That's a good question. I don't think it's been maximized. That's just my opinion, because I know I'm going off the cuff just a little bit, and not going to be too long so we can get to Azul's reply and then to the other caller. I look at what some of these other games are doing, man. I mean, that's where it stops, right there. I just don't believe it. I look at games that are coming. You know, I don't know if you guys knew it or not, and my dumb self, I didn't get out and pre-order it. I'm going to see if I can do it tomorrow, but the Division, that beta will be out tomorrow. But I had a chance to look at the Division game. That's the name. That was their name on Twitch. Might still be on there. And I'm just looking at how that game looks. You know, you look at games like, and I know this is cosmetic, but you look at games like Battlefront, which I'm playing right now. I mean, you know what Uncharted going to be. You saw the order. I mean, it's just, I know it's not a sports title, but if you want to talk about sports titles, look at MLB, look at FIFA, look at PED. And I just feel like there's more that can be done. I really believe that. And that's a conversation that I had with Smitty and I believe Azul as well. But when we go down this time, man, I really want to know from the devs face to face. And like I said, we might not be able to share it with y'all, but when we can, of course, we will. I want to know what the limitations are on this console. Like, I want to be able to look them in the eye and say, listen, man, this idea that I said, can that even be done yet? Because if it can't, cool. Then you ain't ever got to hear me say it no more. But I want to know, are there limitations that is some stuff that we ask for just ain't going to happen? And this is the reason why. I'm cool with that. If I'm told that, I'm cool with that. Because on the other hand, and I know Azul probably will agree with this, I've talked to Clint, and just in a layman conversation, and he's been like, man, we can make the system do whatever we want it to do. It's just a matter of implementing what we want and building technology around it. So I took that literally. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, we can make them do whatever we want them to do, like AI-wise and all of that. You just have to have, I think what he said, AZ, was you got to have the technology or whatever to support it. And I was like, see, that tells me right there, I don't know if there's limitations. But to be real quick with it, nah, I definitely don't think it has maximized the potential, in my opinion. I just don't believe that, especially seeing what they were able to do in this cycle. They did a whole lot in Madden 16 that I didn't think all would be done at one time. But what you think, AZ? How you feel about that?
I think it hasn't been maximized, man. Just like you said, there's more room for it to grow. And just off the ideas that we just, have given, those to me are two, I don't know, I'm not a programmer, not an engineer, but to me those are two simple things that you can pull in and try to integrate because the data is out there. We know that from, previous play and all that kind of stuff. You can pull that data. It's just where you're going to put it, how you're going to use it, how you're going to make sure people use it, And then as far as D-line, you have to teach people how to do that. And then you got to have a tutorial for that. To me, it can go so many more places. I would love for them to have us as the, how they have tournament players and tournament players getting their shine about how they're playing. I would love for us to have our own group of, and just us be the ambassadors of that group. And that way our community can talk and be heard separately than everybody else. Because, 757 said it in his call today. Other communities chirp until they get stuff fixed. And we chirp, and then when people ask, somebody, not us, not the Sim Standard, but ask somebody in the community, and that's why the community to me is a joke of, okay, well, how can we fix this? Or how can, you said Madden's trash, what's trash about it? I don't know, man, it's just trash. It's garbage. Football in there. So those are the kind of conversations that get us nowhere as a community. So I would love for us to, be ambassadors and they say, okay, this is, for the Sim community. What do you want? And Sim breaks out, okay, we want CFM to be the hardcore NFL experience. We want CFM to be what football is all about, building a team, sustaining it, trying to build a dynasty, all this kind of stuff, and it needs to be connected. We need an app for it, this kind of stuff. And then, you go in, we talk about gameplay and all this other kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, man. I'm going to have to sit down and actually map it out. But to me, there's much more, room for it to be maximized and just the uses of CFM, period. Because to me, like I said, once you play your game in CFM, online I'm talking about, because to me, that's where you're going to get people. Offline, it might be a great experience because offline you get the presentation, you get the commentary. I've heard commentary that I've never heard offline. CFM needs to be that entire experience. Offline, presentation, and all this kind of stuff. And if we don't want it, then we can toggle it off ourselves. Don't toggle it off for me. If I'm talking to my league and I say, hey, Sim Standard Radio League, do you want to turn presentation on or off? Or would you like just to have presentation for the playoffs? So that way I go in the settings and say, okay, we've reached the playoffs, boom, click, turn presentation on. And we get a full presentation. I can sit back, and if I'm put out, I can watch Sim, and Jim Nance and Phil Sims talk about the AFC North and how, the Steelers beat the Bengals, swept the Bengals and the Ravens, and all this kind of stuff. So, you got more that can be done, man. It's always more, ideas out there and ways. We just have to find ways to implement them and then show people once they're in there, because to me that was the big fall off about how the game got patched from when it was shipped. People didn't know or didn't want to do the defensive adjustments. So if I don't know if it could be clicked to a one button system for people who don't want to do that, but all you had to do was double up the receiver, and that would instantly lower the chance of the catch. I mean, like I said before, you still have instances where people can catch in double coverage. And before that playoff game, Larry Fitzgerald had maybe a total of 12 drops in all his postseason appearances.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, then I think about that, and I'm like, how do you represent or replicate bad play? Like a player having a bad game. Because to me, and we talked about this before, let me close it out because I want to get to the next call, but we talked about this. I need an on-screen representation of somebody having a bad game.
Yeah, composure.
I need them to be ice cold or snowflake under them or something. Because we talked about hot and cold streaks that were in Madden 15 that, don't really seem to be present in Madden 16. But I said I need an on-screen representation. So that way, when I come to the line of scrimmage, I pull up DGB is cold. I'm not going to throw him the ball on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6. I'm not about to throw his way. I'm going to look over here to the other side because he's cold. And you need to know that kind of stuff. So to me, there's much more that they can expand on. And when I get a chance, we're going to go back at it. We're going to go down there and pound the table once again after we see, what they've done this year. But to me, I even said it, not only do we need the suits, we need to be implemented earlier. So when they say, okay, here's what we're thinking about doing this year, guys, we can be like, nah, what about this? Y'all hadn't touched this.
Exactly.
Or, we need this. This is what's going to hit with the community. So it's much more room, man. Great call. I'm sorry to be long-winded. We can go on to the next, but, I can talk about this stuff till we blue in the face because it starts to become community day to me. So.
Yeah, we're going to get them next time we go, man, because, for one, like the easy fix is put the stuff NCAA had in there. They had the heat, the guy heating up, and he pulsating. And like Azul said, just put it on the coach can. Because now, if y'all notice, some people ain't even realize that on the right stick, on that wheel or whatever, you can see confidence and their rating. Right there, you can see the confidence, fatigue. So give me a heat check.
I want to set on screen and it to be able to be toggled off. Because to be honest, me, Sim, and Smitty, we asked for those MUT stars to be in.
Yeah, man.
We asked for that.
I wanted those.
Because, what would be the negative to having it? And I know some people say, it makes the game look arcade. Toggle it off. If you don't want it, toggle it off. But I want that stuff on screen represented and being able to be seen. So.
And imagine it being able. I know we going on and on, but we got 10 minutes. I'm about to grab 407 and let him rock. But imagine those stars changing during the year, man. Like I told Azul, and I shouldn't even have told him because we got to play. But I said, man, my rookie corner got 2 picks last night. So imagine he gets 5 picks now. Now here this dude he got a red star. He's hot right now. He's leading the league. In 5 weeks, he got 6 picks. So now Azul, we play, and he's like, oh, who's that? You see what I mean? You can identify who's hot who's – oh, man. See, there's so many opportunities with that.
We need that right
Definitely
now.
need that.
That goes to strategy too, man. Like you said, being able to lose them and gain them, that's something that all pro football didn't have. You know, the progression and regression, and I'd love to see that in CFM. And like I said, if people didn't like it, you need to have options so people can say toggle it off.
Toggle it off.
All you have to do. Toggle it off.
Toggle options for everything. That's what we campaign, like the XP goals and all that. Just have toggle options. But, all right, man, let's grab 407. And I know 757 is still listening. This dude is too smart, man. He said something that I know is probably true. And if I have time at the end, I'll tell y'all. But you just got to use your third eye and your sometimes to be up on game. But let's get 407 in here. Sorry for the long wait, man, but we are long-winded. We apologize. What's going on, man? What you got for us?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Nothing much, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been wanting to call in for a couple of weeks, just, life and whatnot. But, touching in on Madden and, the state of the game with all the patches and updates and all that good stuff. Is the game perfect? No. On Twitter, me and Grasser, we exchange back and forth of things that we, dislike about the game and drive us nuts. But with that being said, with the flaws that we all know about, I just find it ironic that the community ended up exposing themselves. I'm sure you guys thought about this during the show. I'm watching the playoffs, and you've got Rob Gronkowski, 6'6", 250-something pounds. He runs right by Chris Harris, who runs a 4.4 840. Runs clean by him at that size. Clean by him. Eats up the cushion on the over-the-top safety. Has 2 steps on both of them. And these fools want to cover that man outside one-on-one and cover 4 drop. Does that make any sense?
No. What
Does that make sense?
Not at all.
Travis Kelce, too.
Because what do people want to do? Every game you play, you see cover 4 dropping long yardage. This Madden community, they think cover 4 is a prevent defense. If I got Antonio Brown out there, that's one-on-one with his 90 route for. I mean, if you got an 80-something zone coverage corner there, that's your ass. That's your ass. He's getting eaten up.
Exactly.
Plain and simple.
That's
but
it.
Nope. These guys don't want that. Now, what the game needs to do, they need to give us better tools for bracketing and shading our coverages. The ability to leverage coverage leaves a lot to be desired. Inside, outside, over the top, underneath. If I want to leverage my coverage toward the sideline, I want to be able to have my corners deny that outside release and contest those sideline corners, comebacks, curls, and outs. Funnel that receiver toward his help and really squeeze and sit down on those routes that I know are coming. And then when he's there, make the break, and then let his ability decide what's going to happen. We need better tools as far as being able to leverage these routes and leverage these receivers and contest these routes a lot better. Rather than, the hitting that we have right now, I'd like to see them, again, rip off, 2K8s. Shell the coverage and be able to leverage the receiver by having their corners align in a position that says, I'm going to stand between you and this inside the best I can to deny you that release. If he still gets there, he's just better. That's going to happen. I mean, you're not going to deny Calvin Johnson where he wants to go. He's going to get where he wants to go, unless you have a Regis or you have a Sherman. And the rest of the world has to do that. Doesn't have a Regis or a Sherman. They have to roll coverage. They have to double team. But these guys don't want that. They want to roll in the cover 4 drop and leave these guys with a one to the outside. And it's just a shame. But, as far as other things about the game, I can go on. The trenches need a lot of work. In CFM with my Jets, I have Muhammad Wilkerson, Southern Richardson, Damon Harrison, Leonard Williams on my front line. They have 99, 99, 98, 98 pass rush moves, and guys have 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds to throw.
You need that frosted. My blankets are coming.
Way too often. Way too often. That's got to be fixed. You know, we got to have these trenches get the same love that the wide receiver DB action got. And lastly, let me just touch on Cam really quick. This kid has become the best player in this league. He can give you – we've never seen a quarterback like this guy. You know, he can run like a Vic, but he's not built like a slot receiver or a DB. He's built like Gronkowski. You know?
Right.
He can run, but he can run like a Vic. He can run like a Russell Wilson. And he can get it done in the pocket now. I mean, the way this guy has elevated his game, you know, this guy, he should be the face of the league. I know he gets a lot of hate, and we can have an hour-long discussion about the reasons why. But, you know, my hat's off to him. I mean, he has just become a complete monster. And, you know, that's all I'm going to say for now. You know, I'm not going to run over the time. And, you know, again, great show as always, and keep on doing what you guys do. Talk to you all later. Peace.
We definitely appreciate the call, man. And you know what? I think we could definitely touch on the Cam thing next week, because by that time there'll be a Super Bowl winner or a loser. And either way, that topic, it will still be relevant. So I'll put it in the air right now so you guys can think about it. You know, we want to kind of talk about why is it that Cam Newton is getting so much hate. I mean, like petitions being signed for him not to come to the stadium. I mean, what is it? You know, is it because he's winning more? You know, is it a race thing? Or what is going on? So we're going to discuss that definitely next week. But I wanted to speak real quick on what NY Kia said about the adjustments and things like that. I know we're down to 2 minutes and 35 seconds. But he's absolutely right, man. 2K8 did that very well. You know, being able to, and this is funny, I'll put this out there just because, you know, some people think we be lying. Our good buddy RG, another dev that you guys probably know now, he wants that as well. He wants to be able to tell his guys to stunt before snap or shell coverage and all of that. And then once you're in game, you can do your individual adjustment if you want to do stuff like that. That was something I thought 2K8 did very well that a lot of people didn't pay attention to, because not as many people as you think are really football-minded. But, yeah, Madden needs that. We need to be able to, you know, it's like that video I did a little while ago, the one where I showed the good man coverage. I want to be able to tell William Gay, man, play inside all day. Just play that. Don't give up the slant to this guy. And then let the rest just be as it may. So I would like to be able to preset what I want them to do, you know, and that's just how they're going to run their coverage that way, you know, from that point on for the rest of the game unless I change something. But, yeah, we need a lot, man. We need a lot. The game is getting there, but it's still a lot that needs to be done. And trenches definitely need some more love. But we had a minute and 12 seconds, AZ. I'll let you take it away, man.
Oh, man, I hate it for Kia because if he had the Jets in the Standard Radio League, he wouldn't be saying that. Because Neff did a number on those rosters, man. I mean, the Jets team that I have, and we'll be playing next week, Stem will probably stream it when we do play, is the best team I've ever had as far as ratings-wise and how they play. Like, oh, man, if y'all not in the Sim Standard Radio League, contact us about being in it. Neff did his thing, boy.
Yeah, man. And like he was saying with the receivers, you saw it in the games I played already. Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant can be themselves. You know, it just depends on the coverage and if I recognize the right route, and yeah, they get off. So I feel sorry for you guys who are not fortunate enough to have the roster, but it is what it is. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. That's our show. I'll try to get this archive up tonight. And we'll appreciate you guys tuning in like always. We'll be back at you guys next week. Well, actually, next week, no. There will not be a Super Bowl winner. What am I talking about? So
yeah, it'll be Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Pro Bowl. But,
can we go back to AFC, NFC, Pro Bowl? Good grief.
I know, man. But, all right, guys, I'm going through it, man. Y'all take care. Have a good weekend. Peace. Peace. Wake up.
Once again, guys, thanks for coming by. And if you want to interact with me live, head on over to Sim Standard Radio every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, along with Smitty and Azure Effect. The call-in number for the show is down in the description. Now, of course, for more content, go ahead and click the link above. And before you go, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. All right, guys. Until next time, lights out.